So Faraway Lucas and lovely audience at home, same question to you guys. Who is your favourite villain who regularly faces off with the Flash?
Other than, like, the top-tier Justice League villains, I don't know Flash villains too well, but maybe just, like, Captain Boomerang, it's like what you're going to beat Flash with.
A boomerang.
A boomerang.
I thought you were going to say, like, the guys who wrote that Flash movie, but that's a good villain too. Like, just shitty writing is the one thing the Flash can't escape, right? The Flash is a DC superhero with the ability to destroy the sound barrier by lightly slapping it with his dick. Despite being one of the most powerful characters in all of DC canon, he has a rogues gallery who, weirdly enough, agree to go easy on him.
I'm gonna kill you, Flash.
We've always been civil, Snart.
The regime changed that.
Which is wild, right? Like, the Flash is ridiculous. Like, just examples of things that he's done include, like, rebuilding a hospital in the space of time it takes most people to blink. Like, he can run at, like, the speed of existence, essentially. There's one comic where the Flash runs so fast and for so long. He runs to the end of the universe, and the last thing he sees is, like, Superman as the last star dies. Right? And that's how he outran, like, the concept of death itself, which in, like, the DC universe is just a Flash. And he has a rogues gallery of people who have things like boomerangs and freeze rays, who have an agreement to go easy on the Flash.
George Harkness, a.k.a. Captain Boomerang, has been embarrassed by the Flash more times than he can probably count. He's confrontational and a coward.
Explain yourself.
I mask my insecurities with drink and bad behavior.
What? How did he go easy on him? What?
Exactly, right? Isn't that, like, that's the thing, isn't that weird that the Flash is super powerful? Why would they go easy on someone who could, like, instantly kill them? Well, that's kind of the reason that they do that. So, Flash's rogues gallery is, like, a collection of, like, villains that he's faced off with over the years, and they call themselves, I shit you not, the Rogues. So, like, points for creativity there, I suppose.
The Scarlet Speedster.
We don't have to fight, Snart.
Tell that to the Rogues.
I thought you were just going to say they call themselves the fucking Jobbers.
Well, that's what they should do, right? They should call it the Goober Squad. Just like, as you mentioned, like, the Flash's rogues gallery includes, like, Captain Boomerang, who's a dude with a boomerang. Like, his power is Australia.
What kind of a sick country would kick someone with a giant boot?
Mr. Simpson, shush. Disparaging the boot is a bootable offense. It's one of their proudest traditions.
Yeah, and, like, guys with, like, heat guns or cold guns.
Cold guns. Like the Trickster.
Not even Mr. Freeze, just, like, we've got Mr. Freeze at home.
Yeah, you've got, like, Mr. Freeze has, like, he's, like, invented new cryogenic technology. Captain Cold has a gun.
Emits some sort of substance. I'm not sure what it is, like a white flame. But it's not hot, it's cold.
That shoots cold. Right? Or, like, and maybe, like, some of his villains are kind of tough, like Mirror Master, who can be kind of terrifying because he can move at the speed of light, which makes him, a pretty decent threat for the Flash.
There's, like, I think, is the Trickster, are they, like,
yeah, that's
one
a
of
Flash
the ones
villain.
that's, like, a Flash villain?
Just Mark
that was
Hamill.
like Mark Hamill back in the day, right?
Yeah, Mark Hamill's played. You've also got, like, guys like Gorilla Grodd, who's just Gorilla. He's a psychic gorilla, admittedly, so that's pretty cool.
I forgot that he was, like, a Flash villain. It's like, that's the thing, a lot of the DC content that I've explored outside of Batman specifically, a lot of it's Justice League related, like Injustice and the Justice League cartoon and stuff, so it's always hard for me to remember, like, who is specifically villains of who.
Yeah, and it's just really funny that the Flash's Rogues Gallery, as you mentioned, is, like, just got the biggest collection of jobbers in it, despite him being one of the, like, the most powerful heroes. Like, besides Superman, he's probably the heaviest hitter on, like, the Justice League, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, those are the two most broken entities in all of DC, which is a realm full of broken entities, and just... I do love the idea, though.
You mentioned that Justice League TV show. That Justice League TV show, the amount of times they have to write out Superman and the Flash when there's a problem of the week, because if they were there would be no problem. because Superman or the Flash would just fix it instantly.
When Batman's like, oh no, a bomb's about to go off, the Flash is like, no, it's not. I've already dealt with that.
What bomb? So, well, he's going to go off and like, oh no, it's already in at the bottom of the ocean. It's done, it's fine. Like, it's the thing about Superman, isn't it? Like, oh no, there's a problem. No, we don't throw it into the sun. Like, I forget what it is, but there's like an online comic about this, taking the piss out of the fact like Superman should just throw everything into the sun. Mm-hmm. And like basically like the Justice League should just, their only job should be, if there's kryptonite, get the kryptonite away from Superman so Superman can throw whatever the problem is into the sun. Yeah, like the Justice League, their only job should be admin and getting kryptonite away from Superman. So you can throw
the Flash gets rid of the kryptonite, the Superman gets rid of the problem.
Yeah, by throwing it into the sun.
And that's what Dragon Ball eventually became for a while, right? Of like, well, how do we defeat Majin Buu or Baby? It is not blast it into the sun.
Just throw it into the sun. Like, I'm aware that a lot of things don't like being thrown into the sun.
It's like, oh no, Majin Buu can regenerate. What do you do? Put him in the sun.
Just throw him into the sun, it's fine. Can't do anything about it. But bring it back to the Rogues, like, they exist by a sort of code. Obviously, how much they live by this code, like, varies from incarnation to incarnation, but, you know, that whole thing about, you know, honour among thieves. So to join this collection of, like, you know, ne'er-do-wells and, like, joining on their capers and heists, you need to agree to a couple of things. One of them is that you don't harm innocents, and you don't kill.
I'm gonna bring this shrine to your ego down on your head, along with 10 square blocks of Central City, and everyone around.
What? What are you talking about? We didn't bring any bombs.
I'm trying to, like, preempt this a little bit, so, you know, stop me if you need to, but is this essentially, if we are too evil, Flash will kill us?
Yes, it's exactly that.
Right, okay.
And it's that thing of, like, and the reason why the Rogues go easy on, like, you know, the civilians, and they agree not to kill anyone, is because they tell any new person who joins, okay, you don't kill people when you join here, but with criminals, like, if you kill someone, the Flash won't go easy on us. Like, because they are keenly aware how powerful the Flash is. And as a result, it is in their best interest to not piss him off. Because they're like, you know, if he wanted to, he could kill us in, like, before we'd even knew he was there. Like, if the Flash locked in, there would be no crime.
Mirror Master and Heatwave. Going to a lot of trouble to steal my old junk, aren't you?
Like, the moment, like, you know, someone thought about committing a crime, the Flash's fist would be through the back of their skull. There would just not be a problem, right?
Whereas it's not too bad to just blink and all of a sudden you're in that weird meta prison.
Yeah, which doesn't have a toilet, which is weird. It'll never stop being funny to me, that Flash TV show. It's the most, like, just inhumane shit ever, where he puts them in the meta prison and they're in, like, a 4x4 room that doesn't have a chair.
This is for your own good.
Don't do this. Guys, come on. Iris? Cisco, come on, man. You have to let me stop it!
So there were a couple of comments when you mentioned that last time of, like, apparently they are, like, hidden within the walls. So there is, like, pull down, like, beds and toilets that come out the walls and stuff. Like, there is some, like, part of the TV show where they actually, like, I guess, address that because they're like, oh, this looks real bad.
It looks really bad that the Flash is just putting people in a prison where they don't even have a bed. Like, there's not even a place to sit down. It's like, when we trap animals in cages, they have a place to lie down.
So apparently they had to show at some point, like, don't worry, it's just is secretly built into the walls.
Yeah. And in regards to, like, what the Rogues will do for each other, it's kind of like joining a union for villains. Because, like, they'll offer you a bunch of guarantees. So in return for agreeing not to kill anybody and, like, seriously endanger the innocent, one of the things you will get is, when you commit a crime, or you do a caper or a heist, other members of the group will help you. My favourite thing is that once you join the group, they agree to protect, like, your villain alter ego. So if someone out there tries to, like, put on a costume like you, or, you know, basically, like, rip off your intellectual property, the other members of the group will go around and beat him up.
This is why it's great to have a union.
Yeah. But it's like the idea that the villains form a union. They're like, hey, you know what? We're more likely to succeed if we all work together and pool our resources.
So we'll march day and night by the big cooling tower. They have the plans, but we have the power. So we'll march day and night by the big cooling tower. They have the plans, but we have the power.
And one of the benefits of that is that, hey, you as an individual, your individual rights will be protected. So if someone tries to rip off your gimmick, Mirror Master will go around their house and beat them up.
That's the thing, they're just like no scabs.
Yeah. It's like, hey, if someone tries to put on a costume that looks like yours, we'll send Gorilla Grodd around to beat the fuck out of them. And last thing, no one wants Gorilla Grodd to knock on the door and beat him up. Right? Do you know like the old joke about like Union heavies? Just open up the door and it's just fucking Gorilla Grodd knocking on your door. Oh no.
But he's knocking on it with his brain.
Yeah. Oh no, he's big, but he's brain spoon. Do you like Gorilla Grodd as a brain spoon?
What do you mean a brain spoon?
He has like this big spoon that's like this big and he calls it his battle spoon and he uses it to eat brains.
Wait, he eats brains?
He does in some comics, yeah.
Oh.
Like, he just scoops out brains and goes, yum yum, in Gorilla Grodd's tongue.
Oh god. Kind of reminds me of like Cypher from Heroes, where he like cut the tops of people's heads off and like would like go in and find like the piece of their brain that was the power or some shit.
Yeah, that guy was stupid. Like, God, I'm glad that show died. Right? That show was fucking stupid. Can we talk about that on Wiki Weekends one day?
At some point.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that on like Wiki Weekends, like the sister channel that we run. Because I would love to talk about like just how hard that show shit the bed. From like, the only show that shit the bed harder than Heroes is like Game of Thrones.
And at least Heroes had an excuse because
writer's strike.
They basically went forward even though the writer's strike was happening. Talk about fucking scabs.
Talk about unions. The value of a union.
Oh, it couldn't save Heroes because they just decided to like let the show absolutely get decimated when the writers wouldn't write.
Oh, do you know my favourite story about that writer's strike? It's I think it was Steve Carell. He was writing for like SNL or something at the time. He called into work sick, saying he had a case of enlarged balls. Just like he just quoted Fats like, "Why are you not coming in?" Just got massive balls. And just didn't go and didn't cross that picket line. What a hero. But speaking of heroes, as mentioned, the Rogues have a begrudging respect for the Flash, with some of them even admitting to liking him. And the reasons for this vary, but the main one is that they know that if the Flash really wanted to, the moment they thought about committing a crime, the moment like they put their hand on the gun, the Flash would kick them in the testicles so hard to be in orbit. Like the last thing they would see with the Flash's foot flying towards their balls at 1,000 miles an hour. And that's it. Done.
And even if Flash didn't want to kill them, he could just send them back in time.
Yeah. He could just throw them into a dinosaur. Like, the thing is, though, if you just you'd be in prison, right? Like, before you... I can see it in my head. It'd be like a great comedy shot. If you'd have, like, the criminals, like, that classic scene in, like, you know, a movie where they're about to do a heist, where they're all in, like, the back of the van, about to, like, you know, psyching themselves up to, like, rush in and kick the door down to the bank. Like, they get out the back of the van, kick the door down to the bank. Smash cuts them in prison. Because the Flash just immediately takes them to prison.
I imagine what happens is that you step out the van and your foot goes down in the prison cell.
Yeah. It's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, the Flash put you in prison. Don't do that. And as a result of how much like a lot of these heroes respect the Flash, one of the other agreements they have amongst themselves is you don't hurt the Flash. Never go all out on the Flash. So it's not that they have a chance of hurting him or killing him. It's that because he goes easy on them and doesn't use the full extent of what he could do to at least cause damage, they agree to do the same. And apparently this respect goes so far, they have a standing agreement to not even hurt other speedsters. Just because, like, hey, we don't want to piss off the Flash.
And also just if the Flash can do it, why couldn't they?
Yeah. And you might be thinking, well, surely they wouldn't really have a chance against the Flash. And chances are no. Like, if he locked in and just like decides like fuck it, crime doesn't like there's no crime today, they wouldn't have a chance. But they could potentially cause issue.
See, while you're busy saving everybody, I'll be saving myself.
For example, there's one comic where a speedster called Johnny Quick, again, like, the inventiveness of the names here is, like, really great, gets into a fight with Captain Cold. And during this fight, Johnny Quick is joking about the fight. Well, why would I be scared of you? You've never beaten the Flash, ever. Like, you are 10-0 with the Flash whomping your ass. Why would I be scared of you? And Captain Cold reveals that, oh, I like the Flash. And I don't want to hurt him. I don't like you. And Captain Cold just shoots his gun at his leg, and then walks over and kicks his frozen leg off.
But realistically, if you were fighting a speedster, and at least the way the Flash works, is that he has super speed thinking as well, and like reflexes, so...
And that's the single most frustrating thing about anything dealing with the idea of super speed. Like, if you have super speed, you have super reflexes. And it's one of those things that's dealt with in like that Flash TV show so much, of the amount of times where Barry Allen gets like cold cocked by the villain of the week. When in the first episode, someone shoots a gun at the back of his head. In the, like, I think it's like the second episode, and he has the reflexes too, before the bullet even leaves the gun, turn around and catch it in midair. And then you have like later episodes where people like catch him off guard and punch him.
Nice try.
And I guess like spoilers for the CW Flash show. Who really gives a shit anymore? But there's an episode where he trains to like catch his own
You've
lightning
mentioned this
bolts
before,
that
yeah,
he
it's
can
so
get.
fucking funny.
And yet then he lets Iris die because someone throws his lightning bolt at her. And it's like he's literally trained to throw it himself and be fast enough to then catch up to it and catch it.
Yeah, like the idea that any villain, regardless of how much they think they're going to win, could even have, like, in that scenario, as you said, like, if Captain Cold, the moment his finger twitched, a speedster who's, like, super quick enough would have ripped his finger off.
Or at least just grab the gun or something,
And
right?
move, right, yeah. Like, that's the thing, there'd be no issue. Like, you have to, like, severely limit how powerful speedsters are. And that's why, like, in that Justice League show, like, the Flash is always conveniently away.
It's the same thing of, like, the writers having to write Spider-Man's Spidey sense out constantly because it's just too broken. He has, like, universal awareness of danger.
So obviously the idea that any like villain in his Rose Gallery would pose a threat is laughable, but still, the idea that they still have that agreement, it's like, we're not going to try to hurt him, which I think makes for like why the Flash comics tend to be a bit more lighthearted and a little more like comic booky.
Yeah.
Because like the stakes are a lot lower because like by definition you're not going to have anyone really in danger.
Don't worry, nobody dies in this story. They just get really big boo-boos. What did I tell you?
Everyone's just kind of agreed to a no-kill peace treaty, right?
Yeah, like they're essentially just LARPing at that point.
Sleep, friend. They can't hurt you now.
Oh! Right in the ball sack.
I do want to mention Captain Cold because I do love the idea of Captain Cold's gimmick being, well, I might not be able to shoot the Flash, but you know what I can do to a speedster? Make the ground real slippy.
Like, I like that some of the Flash's Rogues Gallery think of interesting ways to try and at least stop him. Like, okay, I'm not going to hit him with a bullet, but if I just make the floor slippy, he might fall over. You might think that wouldn't work on the Flash. One of my favourite like comic moments, because it's just the most ass pull of ass pulls that have ever existed to make Batman more powerful, is where he spends like the GDP of a small country building a robot that has like the most powerful like mega supercomputer ever devised to calculate things as fast as the Flash can. And it calculates the way to trip the Flash over, and it just sprays water on the ground and he falls over and breaks his leg.
The Flash still needs some element of physics to work.
But not when he's running real fast. That's the thing. Up to a certain point, physics needs to like exist until Flash decides, no, physics don't.
Exactly right, and that's dependent on the comic writer, but the idea of just, well, make the ground have less friction for Barry to work with, or any Flash to work with.
Or like any speedster, and he won't be able to run on it.
Yeah. It's like, naturally they are less powerful if they have less friction to work with. Which is just a great idea, right? Just make the ground slippy.
Or it's like the idea of like Mirror Master, where you can just like jump into mirrors.
God, that's a cool. I love like mirror dimension powers.
Yeah, like, Mirror Master's great because like the way you usually beat him, you just smash the mirror. But then there's like I think there's one comment where Mirror Master people are making fun of him, like, well, you need a mirror to do anything, right? Like, oh, what would we do if we just break the mirror? It's like, well, I don't need mirrors, I need reflections. And John has a reflection, and he jumps into a guy's fucking eyeball, like the reflection of his eye, and it's like, oh god, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite parts of Multiversal Madness, the Doctor Strange sequel, just when Wanda's like, I'm coming in. Like, no, cover up the reflections. And it's like, they start breaking all the mirrors and covering up all the puddles. And then she just, like, makes her way through, like, the broken, awful mirror. And, like, has that cool, like, it's like the Sam Raimi-esque horror coming in, right? And just, what a cool scene where just, oh shit, Wanda could just come in through the puddles.
And so I think some of his villains can do things like that, but they often don't flex the full extent of their capabilities the same way the Flash doesn't, because they want to make it sporting. Like I said, they're basically LARPing at that point. Like, if Gorilla Grodd really wanted to, he could just, like, call in 1,000 gorillas. And I know the Flash is good, but I think if 1,000 gorillas ran amok, someone would there'd be at least, like, one window put through by some gorilla shit.
I mean, a window maybe, but that's the thing. Just it gets to a silly point with the Flash where everything he does is completely unstoppable.
Yeah, but I can't imagine, right? Like the Flash probably doesn't want to have to deal with 1,000 gorillas, so it's in his best interest to have that tacit agreement between himself and his rogues, right? But just in my head, all I can think is like Gorilla Grodd's plan is just add more gorillas.
We've lined up a fabulous type of gorilla that thrives on snake meat.
But then we're stuck with gorillas.
No, that's the beautiful part. When wintertime rolls around, the gorillas simply freeze to death.
It must make his life a lot less stressful knowing that, hey, if my villains are pulling off some shit in Star City, I think it's Star City, but like at least they're not going after the civilians.
Yeah, and there's a great moment that deals with that in that Justice League cartoon, like the animated show. Where, like, they hear about the Trickster. Oh, like, the Trickster is, just out causing capers. And the Flash is, like, goes and we need to go sort this out. And, like, he goes with another hero, and the other hero is really surprised, and the Flash just walks over and talks to the Trickster and says, are you okay? Villains like the Flash, because he gives them a sporting chance even though he doesn't need to. And they return that favour by agreeing not to, like, cause too much carnage. Like I say, it's almost a game to them.
Yeah.
Like, can they outsmart? They know he's gonna win. It's like when you're like your cousin or something like that. Your little cousin asks you to play like Smash Bros or something like that. It's like realistically, I could come in here and be like the Say Wataneo stomp, but I'll give you a sporting chance.
You're gonna go for Roy's your boy.
Roy is my boy.
You know what? I'm gonna go for Ike, but I'm not going for like little kid Ike.
No,
I'm going for Daddy Ike. Let's go. This is true chub.
You know what? I wish they'd added more Fire Emblem characters though.
No, so do I. It'd be fucking great. So Lucas, you know the drill. What happens first in a smash off? Fuck right. Let's go. Yeah. We should point out we're not great at this game. We just really, really like it. And the rule that me and Lucas always have is always go for disrespect.
Oh god.
As shown. What you got? Ike's coming, baby.
Oh god. And then they have that moment where I still remember I was playing against a kid once and it was like, oh, do you want to play some like FIFA? I was like, yeah, sure. And, you know, again, you do the honourable thing, you let the kid win.
You let a goal in.
Yeah, like, I think maybe like 11, something like that, 10, 11. And then the moment where he runs downstairs and goes, oh, Lucas is so bad at games, he's like so awful. I beat him like 3-0. Ha 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 ha. And I hear him talking the shit.
You hear him talking the shit.
And I'm like, okay, let's play another game. And it's like, okay, cool. Like 15-0 to me. Just stomp on the child. They need to learn.
There's a video out there of someone who did that where it's like, I got like, I forget what it was. It was like Call of Duty or something like that where someone's like, I got like the best person at Call of Duty in the world to just like go in, like I played like really badly. And then like Joe's like, the people, I'm better than you. It's like, then I just passed it to my friend who's like the best Call of Duty player in the entire world. And it's like 100 now. Like and you hear the people down the mic like crying down the mic of like, you're cheating, you're cheating. It's like, you shouldn't talk shit. And the villains probably know that with the Flash, right? Like, as long as we play fair, he will too. But the moment we cross that line, he's not going to mess around because he's not going to like let people's like lives be at risk.
As we love to say on this channel, Karl, you fuck around, you find out.
Like, no one who fights the Flash wants to get like A-trained, right?
Oh god, no.
The dude like was it like Blue Hawk, that A-train fights? No one wants that to happen to them, right?
Oh god, or just, you know, to his girlfriend at the start, right, where he just runs through her.
And no one wants that to happen.
Because Captain Boomerang, as far as I'm aware, he has no ability that stops him from the Flash running through him.
Oh yeah, he's got Australia. He's got the power of Australia.
I don't know if the power to fight kangaroos and spiders gives you the ability to not have the Flash just run through you.
I reckon, though, if like Captain Boomerang lent into like, you know, his Australianness and just started like releasing like armies of kangaroos, like in my head, like Captain Boomerang's the kind of guy where the Flash is like, okay, Captain Boomerang's escaped. Like, what's he doing? He's getting drunk and throwing beer cans at the kangaroos. Like, for fuck's sake!
He's already enough of a stereotype. You can't make it worse.
But that's the thing. I imagine like the Flash must deal with like the most basic of crimes, but like he's probably happy to do it, right? Because it helps.
I expect most of them probably just need to take the meds and go to therapy.
Which is what he talks about, like with the trickster and stuff. But I just like in my head, like he deals with like the most mundane of crimes. And he's happy to do that because like if they're committing like silly like themed capers, they're not putting people in danger.
I still remember, I think it's like the first season and one of the first enemies the Flash fights in the first season of the CW show. It's like some guy's making some like twisters on the road and he just has to twist in the opposite direction to the twisters.
Mr. Twisters, like no. And ultimately it's just fun and I like that about the Flash. Like, I like that his villains are silly. I like that he's silly. I like that they acknowledge that. And I like that there is that like begrudging like respect and camaraderie between them.
It was a lot more fun to watch those early seasons than just watching Oliver Queen shoot another guy in the face for doing the exact same shit he does.
It's like Oliver Queen like shoots one person per episode for like 2 seasons straight, and then he's like, "Look, this city needs a hero." It's like, well, it's not on you then, is it? You shot one person per day for a year straight.
I think it is only the first season, but then he talks about how awful killing is over and over again in season 2. It's like, Ollie, I just watched you become a fucking serial killer.
Like, Oliver Queen, like, Zaz is taking notes on how many people you killed, mate. Right? You know, one day we'll talk about that crappy Arrow show as well. Because, like, that Arrow show was so bad and so poorly written, it ruined The Flash.
Yeah, and, like, I liked the first couple of seasons of both, but god damn it just goes down that, like, CW spiral to the point where I didn't even watch half of them.
They wanted, like, Oliver Queen to be Batman so much. And that Flash show would have been so fun if it was just, like, colourful villains of the week.
And I love the Green Arrow type that's like, oh, it's, you know, he's a billionaire beating up people who commit crime, but instead he's, like, got that kind of like Shakespearean-esque quality to him with like the silly goatee and mustache. And,
like he styles himself as Robin Hood. Even though like Robin Hood specifically stole from the rich and gave to the poor, and he's like the ultra uber wealthy, which is a bit like, which I've always found weird that Oliver Queen styles himself on Robin Hood despite being a billionaire.
But you can tell that this is American comic book writers writing the good guys as billionaires back in the day, whereas it was aspirational. It's not aged too well anymore.
It's like he just worked really, really hard. He worked 400,000 times harder than all of his like people who work underneath him.
Fucking Jeff Bezos nowadays doing like the speed run to becoming Blofeld. It's like, dear God.
I do wonder if anyone like Oliver Queen's like company. It's like, why have we invested so much money in like boxing arrow technology? And what's that about? Right? Do you think they just look at their R&D? Like when Bruce Wayne orders like 50,000 batarangs as like to hide the fact he's Batman? It's like there's nothing more suspicious than ordering 50,000 batarangs.
Is that maybe in Wayne Tech you might be able to get a couple of thousand under the radar, but when he's like mass produce this shit, it's like, hang on, how is this making you less suspicious?
It will never stop being funny, the fact like no one realizes like that Bruce Wayne is Batman in like that Nolan verse when he literally drives around in a tank he sold to the government. And like you even have that guy who comments on it where he goes to Lucius Fox and he goes, "Did you not notice like the tank you designed driving around?"
Don't tell me you didn't recognize your baby out there pancaking cop cars on the evening news.
Maybe many employees did, but they were all just smart enough to realise that if you say anything, then Batman might beat you up.
Also, yeah, and also that line as well of Lucius Fox essentially telling someone like, "Hey, our boss is a vigilante and he's committing like massive fucking fraud and embezzling billions of like company money to go beat up people and run over cop cars on the news." It's like, yeah, but what about if he comes to your house and beats you up? And they frame it as like the heroic thing for the billionaire to threaten the average working Joe who's trying to report massive tax fraud.
Now, you got the entire R&D department burning through cash, claiming it's related to cell phones for the army. What are you building for him now? Rocket ship?
It's like, oh no, Karl, he's not threatening him. He just says, that's a guy you don't want to blackmail. It's like, yeah, but think of the implication.
I said it's one. You mentioned it ages poorly. It ages poorly that the guy who's like, "Hey, our boss is a fucking billionaire tax cheat who runs people over in a tank you designed." That's probably bad for the company's bottom line.
And he's seen as like the fucking snitch that needs to be stopped.
It's like, how much tax did like Bruce Wayne not pay?
Because it's certainly got to be less than Jeff Bezos didn't pay.
Cheers, everybody.